none of us were able to break that mold. So it feels to me like now the game's on a bit of a cusp there, that Ulcar have done it. Suddenly there's an opportunity for everybody else to go and do it now. And I think we can take off, hopefully, in a really strong direction again now as a game.
Hello and welcome to Back 10 by All Out Rugby League, powered by Smart Energy GB, leading the rollout of smart meters across Great Britain. With a smart meter, you can track your energy use head on within your home and find smarter ways to save. So, another show, another week, another big guest, a star from the world of rugby league joining us again. Kyle Amos still not here. He's still doing his walk in China. However, we are well stocked with a very, very reputable guest, I should say, in Steve McNamara. Steve, pleasure to have you on. How are you?
Very good, Matt. Yeah, thanks for having me on. Yeah, pleasure. Yeah, good. Plenty of rugby league news about last week, so we can get into it.
We are. That is exactly what we are going to do. But before we get into the show, don't forget, like and subscribe so you keep notified on all of our content during the week, and don't forget to hit that hype button, swipe across, click the hype button so that we reach the masses far and wide. And with that, let's get into the show. Okay then, well, there is only one place really to start this week, and that is IMG Gradings and Super League now officially being a 14-team competition. Salford are out, Bradford, Toulouse and York are in. It's dominated the headlines over the weekend and probably will do for a few days yet, so we are going to get right into it. Steve, I'm interested to get your views on all three clubs, but I suppose the obvious place to start is Bradford, finishing 10th in the Gradings. It's a club that you've had an association with for a long time. Before we get into it, how pleased are you to see the Bulls back in Super League?
For them personally, really, really pleased. Obviously, look, they were the catalyst, weren't they, at the start of the Super League? You know, the Odsal Stadium, the game day experience, the performances on the field, everything about the Bradford Bulls at the start of Super League was what really launched Super League into the summer era and created so much headline and news. So it's been a long time since they've been out the competition. They've had to go through some dark days and some tough moments, but they found themselves back in it now, and I'm sure they're going to give themselves a great chance of being as successful as they can next year. Optically,
is this good for Super League or not? Is the question people's asking, because the elephant in the room is Odsal, isn't it? It's an eyesore. It doesn't look fantastic, and yet they finished 10th on Gradings, above Huddersfield and Castleford. What is that unfair to say that optically it might not be fantastic that Odsal's back in the state it's in?
Yeah, I think you can debate how the scoring system worked and how they finished 10th, but they did. That's what's been put out there. There's some work to be done. That's probably the best way to describe it there. Like I said, that stadium, that arena, like a coliseum, if you like, at that stage, was befitting of that time. It was 30 years ago, but it was alive. It was a summer era. It really, really was. But there's probably not been a lot of work gone on into that stadium. So many other stadiums or teams have progressed, even moved stadiums, enhanced their stadiums. So that is something there that they're going to have to be aware of. The size of the field as well, which is extremely small. And, again, for me, it should be a criteria that everyone's field at least fits the minimum standards, and it doesn't. So they've got some work to do on that. So, but put all that aside, they're in the competition, and the only issue is they've got such a short period of time now to get ready, and it is short. It's going to go like that. It's going to go really, really quickly. As for Toulouse, as for York as well. So, but I think of all the teams there, Bradford have probably got most of the work to get done now between now and then.
Just on, before we move on to the Gradings and the other clubs, it would be awesome to get Bullmania back like it was. I mean, you saw it firsthand. I mean, I was only young, but I remember going, and it was just unlike anything else. It was almost the trendsetter, the trailblazer for what we see a little bit now, I think, with Lee in particular. Yeah. And even to a degree, Catalans who've got that as well. If we could get back to that, now whether that's achievable or not, I don't know. I don't think we can expect it next year or year two, but if it could be done, it would be a serious asset to Super League.
A huge asset. If that stadium can get back to being anywhere near full, and I say full to, around that 20,000 mark, that's 15, 20,000 like it was. It was, I said that about the stadium being a Coliseum, it was like gladiatorial. When we played there, like it was like coming out into battle every single game. And I refer back to the NRL. I've been out in the NRL and you see that in those games out there, the build up, like every game, it feels like that. Odsal felt like that. It was an amazing place. He's got so much to offer the game, but it's got to get a lot of things in order to get back into that position. And it won't happen overnight. It won't happen quickly. But I think if they can get the crowds back there as quickly as they possibly can, that will be a big start for them.
What's your favourite Odsal memory? You'll have a few from back in the day, but is the one that stands out?
I think there was one game. I think it was against Leeds. I think Graham Murray was in charge and he was hard coach, and they had Fleary and Farrell and McDermott, and we had McDermott and it was ferocious. I remember it being a huge crowd. I can't remember exactly what year it was there, and there was blood everywhere. It was probably those games, and they were big. And everyone talks about the Ulster debate, the Wigan and St Helens debate, but at that time, that Bradford Leeds fixture was as big as it got. So I think they were certainly the highlights.
We're going to have some rivals round next year because you've got the Hull derby, Saints Wigan, Leeds Bradford is back, Toulouse Catalan. That rival round is going to be amazing, and I suppose that's probably one of the lost things with Bradford. The rivalries that can be reignited. The Leeds one's obvious, but people forget there was a rivalry with Saints and Wigan, and for sure, look, Bradford going to be one of the top teams anytime soon. Probably not because of the recruitment, which we'll get onto, but if it feels to me that the potential for, I don't think Super League's been the same without Bradford, and I'm not saying that Bradford should have been looked after or anything like that. They had the financial troubles and so on and so forth, but that brand and everything that comes with it, if done right, it could be massive for Super League. It could be it could be exactly what people feel like it's missing right now, right?
Yeah, look, it was iconic. Like I said, because it was the advent of Super League, because it was the start of the summer era, because of the razzmatazz that it brought, the news that it brought, it's recognised throughout the world. Bradford Bulls is recognised throughout, and even in Australia, people say, well, where's the Bulls at now? What's happening there? And so there is that history there behind it. You're right, some of the rivals there. Leeds was always our, we were always playing Leeds, and there was the haves and we were the have-nots in some regards, but then we'd also play Halifax down the road. And that was the opposite way around, and they'd come and give us some horrendously tough games, hard games, and everything else that went with it. So it had its place both in Yorkshire, but then obviously once the Bulls started competing for championships and Challenge Cups and Grand Finals, you then come into play on the other side of the Pennines against your Saints and your Wiggins as it was at the time. And again, some of those games were just enormous.
From West Yorkshire to France, Toulouse are in. Now, I think this has been more of an interesting debate, hasn't it? Because there are a lot of people that thought Toulouse would get shafted, really, and not get in. And I think people had legitimate concerns about that as well, but they haven't come to the fore. Toulouse are in. You've obviously got your French connections with your time at Catalans. How pleased are you for Toulouse? And is it the right call for them to be in a 14-team competition?
I'm really, really pleased from first and foremost, really pleased for French Rugby League. I'll support that, until the day I die. I think it's really worthy cause fighting for, and now there's two teams in there. It's great that they're in. It's a big city. They're going to get hampered again. They've got to pay for all the costs of the other teams, the same as Catalans. I just don't understand that. I don't get that. I don't think it's right, but that's where they're at. So both of those teams were at a disadvantage before we even start. But what they're trying to do is they've tried to build, over the last couple of years, they had Super League, they had a taste of it. They've actually had a really good look at it. They've now gone away for the last couple of years and gone, okay, this is the route back to the Super League for us through this way. We're going to do it this way. It'll be interesting to see how much they recruit on the back of it. The word is, they're looking at 4 or 5 players. Whether that's going to be strong enough or good enough for them, I don't know. But I do think they are a club that's been there, seen it, experienced it, learnt lessons from it, will come back stronger this time round. I think they do deserve the chance.
They come in on half funding as well. So half funding and paying the travel costs. They're going to have some deep pockets.
Should give them a 10-point start in the competition. Are we handicapping the competition like an handicap race? Is that the way it is, or whatever? But it's extremely difficult to fund what they're going to have to fund with half the income. Trying to put a squad together, trying to do everything else, invest in all the other areas of the club and the organisation to make them strong. So good luck to them. They'll need the bounce of the ball. They'll need some things to go their way. But hopefully they can stay on there and survive and be there the following years.
There are naysayers who say 2 French teams in Super Leagues, not good news. Can you explain from your time out there and your understanding, which is far more deep and intrinsic of French Rugby League than most people, anyone over here basically, why this is good news and why this can help propel French Rugby League into another level?
I think first and foremost, I do understand the different argument. I do understand it. I respect people have a different opinion on it and would see things differently based on what your where you're situated and whether your team's getting there or not getting there. So I get that, but I just think it's something different for us. I just think if we carry on doing the same things we've been doing for however many years, eventually it'll become too much. Like French Rugby League, the passion for the game across there is huge in certain areas of France, and that's very, very similar to here. We just got to make sure we tap into that, invest in that. And I think there's probably 2 things in France. They need to really invest in grassroots, making sure people play the game. And I say this is the same in this country as well.
Yep.
And then something to aspire to, something elite to aspire to. All the stuff in between there gets looked after throughout that. And I think by having Toulouse and Catalans in that competition, for the young French players to aspire to go, right, we can get there. Because at the same time, you're seeing a lot of the French players coming to England now as well. Because they want something elite. They want to be involved in something big. They want to be able to earn money. They want to be able to have great careers. They want to be able to travel the world. And honestly, if Toulouse get going, Catalans have shown the way. That Catalans have, it's been great what that club's done in 20 years. Competition's 30 years. Catalans is only 20 years.
Yeah.
It's been to 2 grand finals, been to 2 Challenge Cup finals, league leaders, all of that, what goes with that. Let's give another team an opportunity and grow that game, because we do need another strong international team.
I wanted to ask you 2 things on participation. I thought you made a good point. People said there needs to be more French players playing. Is English Rugby League not having the exact same trouble though? And we've just gone from 7 quota players to 10, essentially because the player pool isn't big enough. I think I get the point, and I see what people are saying about French players and having more French players. Understand it, and we all want that in an ideal world. But I think people maybe miss the point that actually participation in this country is a really big issue as well.
It's the main issue in every country. So you go to Australia, they want more young players playing the game. It's just that their start point's different to our start point in England. Same here, we want more. France want more. France is less than England. It's all relevant in terms of that. And for me, like I said, the biggest investment that you can make is, okay, how do we get more players playing the game? Put some of our resources into that. All right, create safe environments, create that, but then create dreams for those players to aspire to get to. And to, in England at the minute, let's pick UKR and Wigan because they're 2 grand finalists. People want to go and play for those clubs. We want the French boys to be able to do that and feel like they can do that and have a chance of winning Challenge Cups and have a chance of winning grand finals and everything else that goes with it. So it's so important, and you're right, we have the same problems in England. We do, without a doubt. We need more players playing the game.
On the flip side of that, one thing that I've noticed with Catalans in the recruitment for next year, a lot of those established French players that they had are leaving. I think you got to a point, I think there was a game this year where you had 10 French players in a 17, I think.
Even more on certain stages, yeah.
But then Arthur Romano's gone to Hull. Jordan Desiree has left the club now, and then you like to Fouad Yahav left, and feels like the French feel of the squad's gone a little bit. There's a lot of overseas players coming over, a couple from over in the UK as well. I just wondered from your because you spoke so passionately about the French. I just wondered what you thought about that.
Yeah, it's probably maybe a different area, maybe a different stage for their club, for their organisation now. But I know that when I went across there, I thought we'd lost a generation of French players by the behaviour of some of the overseas players at that stage.
Right.
So off the field and more in particular, I thought there were some young French players there that probably were in the wrong environment, that didn't get the professional setup that they needed, and probably could have gone on and been really good players, but never. We changed that around, where we got some real consistency in terms of what we're doing. We were professional, we were strong. We had some great staff supporting all of that, right from the start. And those young French players, you use Archer Romano as an example there. Yeah. Now, Archer is as professional as any player you will get in the game. Mm-hmm. Now, whether he's as quick or as strong or as talented as some of the players, well, clearly, there's bigger and stronger and faster players than him. But I'm telling you, the professionalism of those young French players was enormous. Now, whether that era's come to an end, but there is another crop of those players underneath that the club will start to bring through. Your Clement Martins, Descalzi, he's a good middle there. There's some names there I won't go into, but there's some good players there that hopefully, what we don't know about yet, will step into the place of some of those players who are leaving.
And there is some talent there. I mean, Guillermo Espira-Bechet is raw, but there's a player there. And a few of the other guys you mentioned, Clement Martin, there is, I suppose it's like any other club, isn't it? You're homegrown, how do you get the balance right of having the quality
so those two players you've mentioned, they were in the test team that beat the England Academy.
Yeah, sure.
Which had Harry Roberts in there, Aaron Lindop in there. Some really good players.
And that was only last year, right?
Yeah. Some really good players in the competition. So they're finding their way, they're coming through, and they'll hopefully, the decision's been made to replace some of those French players. And hopefully they're thinking, well, we've got another crop coming through underneath that to support what else we're going to, whichever else direction we're going to head in as a club.
Just quickly, I want to just move on to York before we go on to the wider things. So we've had Bradford, which is deep in the heartlands. We've got Toulouse at his expansion at his finest, and then you've got York, who is somewhere in the middle. It's a new area, but not too far away. But a brand new club that's never been in Super League. I'm personally delighted for them. And I think they're an exciting addition for the competition. What do you think?
I agree exactly with what you're saying. We played the semi-final in York, the Chance Cup semi-final against Ulkia for Catalans this year. Good stadium, good spot. York's an awesome city. It's a great city for people to want to go and watch the team, maybe spend a weekend there, that type of scenario there. Seems like they've got, and I don't know the owner there and everything else, seems like he's really switched on in terms of what he wants and how he can achieve things. They've got a good young English coach there in place. Yep. They performed well all season. They just missed out on the grand final, which is hard to win, they're difficult to win with all the pressures. So I think they're set up really, really well and really, really nicely. But in reality, all three of those teams, in my opinion, should have been told they're in 12 months' time. Like whichever it was, like in 12 months. It's happening in 12 months. You're guaranteed. Now go away and do what you need to do in that period of time. I actually feel like London were the team that I missed out, are the ones that are the winners in some regards out of this. I say this, they'll be disappointed they're not in there now. I think they're more or less guaranteed. It's not a guarantee, but more or less you're looking at it going, someone's going to get relegated at the end of 2026. London are going to come in. And with this period now, between now and then, with the owners, the names that they're talking about there, they'll put themselves in a really strong position that in 2027, they'll probably come in and possibly do a Wakefield, possibly do a Lee, in terms of being able to really establish themselves. I think the three teams that are coming in, good luck to them, but one of them's probably going to pay the price at the end of the season, and then it's difficult to recover after that.
Well, this is the elephant in the room, right? Because on Wednesday, so the day before Bradford were officially announced and 2 days before York and Toulouse, the existing Super League clubs met, and there was very much a blank canvas conversation about the mechanics of promotion and relegation moving forward. Nothing was decided, but the general feeling is promotion and relegation is coming back. But that just seems crazy to me that you're having that conversation now, leading into next year when you've got two clubs coming in on half funding. I mean, how's that? That just seems so...
Yeah.
And listen, nothing has been decided yet in terms of how promotion and relegation and gradings and everything like that looks for next season. And the club's essentially told the RFL to come back and give us a proposal. But the general feeling is promotion and relegation is coming back. That seems really, really harsh, particularly on Toulouse and York with the situation they're in. But for Bradford as well, they've got to try and put together squads to essentially survive if promotion relegation comes back. And that's going to be near on him. Well, it's not impossible because you've got 3 clubs in the same situation, but it's very, very difficult.
Yeah, 2 will survive maybe, but whatever it may be. But it seems rushed. Doesn't seem strategically thought through. What's a long-term plan? Where are we now? Where do we want to get to? What's the path to get to that? The best path. Making decisions. Only a couple of months ago that the competition was going to change was hard. And so look, I don't want to be doom and gloom. It's not that. It's just an opinion based on looking at it going, wow, this is going to make it really, really difficult. The RFL having to ask the clubs to make proposals to them to tell them what it's going to be. No. Somebody should be telling us as an organisation, in my opinion, what we're doing. This is the route forward. This is where we're going. This is where we're heading. Like I said, you don't want to look at the NRL all the time, but you look at Perth, and Perth are coming in 2027. Full funding, giving support all the way through that process. Ben Gardner, that was going to be assistant coach, leaves Penrith a year before they can get the organisation ready, along with Mal Meninga. They can get the reserve grade sorted out. They can put all the community stuff in place. They can get all the promotion done so that when they hit 2027, round 1, the only thing they've got to then do is get the first team ready to play. Or everything else is in place underneath that. So we're not the NRL, we're not Australia, I get that. But at the same time, this does seem massively rushed, in my opinion. But there's 3 teams that have got an opportunity. I bet they're all excited by it.
And this has always been the issue with promotion relegation. Now, I know really the argument is why didn't we just do this in 2027, which some of the clubs wanted to do. But has the issue always been with promotion relegation, getting up and then staying up proves just too difficult, because it's not just building a squad, which is hard in itself, but it's everything about your club and your organisation that, because you don't have the funding of Super League, it's hard to do it, and then you get it for a year and then you try and build it and then you go back down. It's always been a case of, and you mentioned them earlier, Wakefield Lee and Hull KR as well, unless you've got a heap of money and an owner who's willing to put that in so that you can be ready to go up before you've gone up, it's so hard to do it. Some clubs just aren't in that position.
They're not. Wakefield are a good example of that, when they got relegated and the new owner came in, gave them the opportunity and said, right, this is what we're going to do, and we're going to... And that club that's transformed, that club. That stadium has transformed. You talk about also back in the day in Wakefield, wow. The facilities there for everybody involved.
Asbestos roof. We had asbestos roofs.
All of that. But look at it now and you go, wow, that's a good example of a team probably taking its own initiative there and having the finances to be able to do it, to put all the infrastructures in place, with the academy, the scholarship, everything else that goes with it, community events, everything, the stadium, and then suddenly they get a team back in Super League and then they perform really well in Super League, and that's really a little bit of a blueprint and model for everybody else.
Just lastly, before we move on to something else, we talked about recruitment a little bit. Bradford, Toulouse, York. I think Kurt Aggerty said he wants 12 to 14 signings. Toulouse not as many, but by the by, is there any way that they can recruit squads at this time right now that will get them to a point where they can finish above being the bottom 3 in the competition? It seems incredibly difficult to me to try and recruit squads right now.
Yeah, they probably can still, but it is going to be extremely difficult. But I think with the 10 overseas, it gives them all a chance. So when you see all that rule come in before any of the announcements, you start to think there's something's happening here. So 10 overseas straight away, if you get that overseas recruitment right, you've probably got within your own squad, you're probably comfortable with maybe half, 2/3 of your squad being able to compete in Super League. Then you add some other little bits there on top of that, what you can pick up. And then again, they've put the rules out there. I think, is it official there now about if you sell a player to one of the teams not being promoted, you get a salary cap dispensation? You probably know better than me.
So they're going to, I think it will get signed off this week. It hasn't been signed off as of yet, but essentially there's a dispensation where, say, let's pick a random player, say Hull KR move a player onto any of those 3 clubs and that player's worth £50,000. The proposal is you'll free up that salary cap space, which is the rule now, but then there'll also be an additional On top of that, I think between 50 and 100% don't think it's being decided. So essentially, you might actually get £100,000 worth of salary cap relief for moving them on. Unique, and it's only a 1 year thing as well. It's different.
It's rushed, it's bizarre, it's different, it's all of those, but it's given an opportunity now for some clubs if they want to trade players and move players, free some spots up. So I think there's going to be a little bit more movement in terms of players around that. I think you said it earlier on, the advantage of those 3 clubs coming up is there's 3, not just 1. So they've got to just be one of the other 2 teams, you would think, unless Salford or somebody else in the Championship really comes strong next year and we go, there's 2 teams now that are ready to come up. You just don't know, where that's going to be. So, but they've got a task on their hands, but they all wanted to do it. They all want to be there. They all want to have a cracking Super League. And we'll see. The 3 really different, interesting propositions.
Well, next year marks 30 years since the first Super League game, which took place on March 29th, 1996. Famous night in France, wasn't it? It was Paris and Sheffield. 17,000 people, I think, and Paris won. You've been there, seen it done the whole thing as play. I mean, you had a little bit of time in Australia, didn't you? But you've seen the whole thing play out. So you left your hometown club of Hull, joined Bradford at the start of 1996, not 1966. Putting age on you there.
Playing at times, but
what are your memories of back then, of the start of it?
I think the start was something new, it was something exciting. None of us really knew, because the change from winter to summer was the really big one. Like, that was astronomical change. Like, what we're going to play in the summer, and so the things you remember is you probably don't get many summer holidays. Nobody who plays Super League now ever gets a summer holiday. You've got to remember that. But in reality, it was the buzz, the excitement, the unknown of what it was of how that was going to unfold at the start there. So I think obviously Sky Television coming in there put everybody on a different pedestal. There was more publicity around the game. World Club Challenges started to come. Remember the World Club Challenge? We was all going to Australia. They were all coming here. I think we went twice in 1 year with Bradford during that period of time. So there was so much what happened there, what was so positive about the game. And then I feel that, not stagnant's the wrong word, but I feel like the game sort of stayed at a level for a long period of time. And then Ulkiav just broke the mould. We've all been trying since 1990, was it 8 was the very first grand final. 1997, I think, at Bradford Bulls, we won the competition, but without a grand final. 1998, since then, only Bradford, Leeds, Wigan and Saints had won it. Bradford were in the Championship. And then suddenly, bang, Ulkiav shown the way. We've all had a crack at along the way. I think Castleford have been there, Warrington have been there, Salford have been there, we've been there as Catalans have been there as a couple of times. Maybe a couple of other clubs I've missed, but
Hull FC got one.
Hull FC got one. Hull FC got one, but none of us were able to break that mould. So it feels to me like now the game's on a bit of a cusp there. That Ulkiav have done it. Suddenly, there's an opportunity for everybody else to go and do it now, and I think we can take off, hopefully, in a really strong direction again now as a game.
It leads me into my next question. What would you like to see from the next 30 years?
Well, I think some stability in some regards in terms of, I know I was saying like the game sort of stayed the same, but some stability in terms of how the game's going to, what its actual aim is. What is it? Is it aim? Is it, we just want to keep the game in England, we want to keep it here? Is it we want the French teams in? Is it we want, whatever it may be, but we can't just keep going forward without a really specific plan and somebody to put that in place and implement that. But I think for us to get more national coverage, international coverage is the biggest one there for us still. It's something we've always said. Yeah. How are we going to get that? How are we going to achieve that? Well, we do that with probably stories like Ulkiar have done, like Wakefield have done recently, like Lee are doing to a certain extent right now, and create more stories. And I think with the modern age now, it's about the social media and creating superstars of the game. So hopefully that will come into play.
And just very lastly, just on you mentioned Hull KR. First new winners for 21 years. Yeah. It's a long time. I look at it now and think, and look at some of those established clubs. Bradford are one of the winners. Probably going to take them a while. Leeds are there or thereabouts. We're going to there. Saints are maybe not quite where they've been in the past just right now. You've got, I think maybe in the next 5-10 years, there's a real potential for more new winners. Maybe even next year, because Wigan with the salary cap aren't going to be able to recruit much. Hull KR, we mentioned Saints have maybe got a bit of a rebuild to do. You've got your Wakefields, your Lees, your Hull FCs, Warrington, have the spending power to try and get back there, and the young kids coming through. I think we've got a chance of a few new winners in the next, even 5 years, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I think that's big. Go back to the Premier League, over the years it was always, Man City or Manchester City, or before that, Liverpool, Manchester, whatever, always the top 2 or 3, and then it's probably still staying a bit that way now, but rugby league does feel, doesn't it? It does feel like it's sort of going the other way a little bit there now. Look, there's a reason why all Kingston Rovers and Wigan have been at the last 2 grand finals, because they are, looking at them from the outside now, the best well-run clubs and teams. Like, it's not an accident. It just doesn't happen like that. No. But these other clubs are now starting to be really well run, really well coached, really well drilled. Really, they've got all of these other bits going there as well. So hopefully that will be the case. And the people who are putting money into our game, into our sport, into the individual clubs, stay involved as well. Because without those people, without that, Hull KR would have been very difficult to emerge. Neil Udgell has done a great job there on his own for years and years, with Rob Crossland, who was sadly passed away, suddenly got some new investment which helped him there as well along the way, and they've been able to put the plans in place. So I do think you're right. I think there's going to be some other opportunities for other teams to win both Grand Finals and Challenge Cups. Exciting times ahead. Well, Steve, been great to speak to you, and we'll hear more from you later in the week in Back 10 Breakdown. But that is full time on this episode of Back 10 by All Out Rugby League, powered by Smart Energy GB, the team helping households across Great Britain take control of their energy use with smart meters. A smart meter lets you see exactly how much energy you're using so you can save when it matters. Until next time, see you later.